what do you think is the proper mode of participation here? Like, because like we're still trying to figure out what this little, let's say, subculture is. And so this little corner of the internet where many people like yourself, like they post their stuff online, they sometimes hop into live streams like you've done yourself, and I did that recently. Um, I also shared with you, recently I jumped into a live stream of Grill Country, and then Luke Thompson also said like he saw your video. And he was like, "Oh, he's just a great guy." And it was like it's probably his name in the comments, which I thought was really funny, you know.
Yeah.
But he wants to talk to you as well. But I'm curious,
Mhm.
like, there's something about um, like how important do you think this balance should be? No, it's kind of difficult to say. Like, there's something about this community which is extremely healthy because, like, it's like some of the best way of having a conversation ever. It's like there's all this humility, there's genuine listening. You talk about subject matters that do not just relate to some like intellectual interest, but also about your moral conduct. So, like, there's all these aspects of it that are really good. At the same time, there's obvious limits to it that everyone always brings up. And I still don't know how to balance that. And I was listening to the live stream on Friday from PVK, and it was also fascinating to just kind of like listen and be like, okay, it actually feels so cozy here, but at the same time, I was like just looking around, like my my fiance is currently out, like she was out in the Czech Republic, and and I was waiting for her to come back so I could pick her up from the station. So I was just kind of like sitting here by myself, but also being like in that chat room, and it was really wonderful, like to kind of be I don't know,
Yeah.
just just being with them. But it felt
Yes.
weird, I was like, but because I'm also here by myself, and at the same time, now I'm really relating to you, and that already feels different because I'm going to see you in person soon enough, and I've seen you in person soon enough. But you're also, I think, by yourself now in this room. I'm by myself in this room, and do you think that's healthy? Do you think this is like a temporary thing, or do you think it's gonna keep going this way, or do you think it's gonna move elsewhere? What are your views on that?
So when I was 15, I was always in a Twitch stream watching someone play video games, and I would interact with the community, and there would be a Discord group, and we basically gathered around this one individual and watching him play and discussing it, and that already felt cozy, but it was
Mm-hmm.
not good.
Oh
It
yeah,
was not
yeah.
good at
I
all.
get it.
Like I'm watching someone play video games, and
Yeah.
so there was a small good to it, but the bad outweighed the good in that sense. Then we
Mhm.
fast forward to today, where we interact with each other online, and I think it's great, a lot of it, but I'm afraid of a lot of it because not only is it worse than being in person, it can also be a substitute for the in person. For a lot of people, that is the case. So I think it should be temporary in most people's lives, or it should take up a small space in most people's lives. I say this because it reminds me of estuary, actually, where
Mm.
for some people, estuary is like life changing, and it needs to be in their lives.
Yeah.
But for others, they probably should do better to go to their own church and to have their in-person interactions.
Yeah.
Um, this,
Briefly, can I briefly interrupt?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just about estuary, because some folks might not be
oh yeah,
familiar,
yeah,
right? It's the on location thing, and if you're actually curious what it is exactly, Paul Vanderklei on his channel, he just uploaded a production by Justin Wells, who's by the way going to come over to the Netherlands this week, and I think you're going to be
oh
visiting
yeah,
or meeting
Thursday,
him,
yeah,
right? He's a
yeah,
film.
probably.
Yeah, and I'm also hoping to meet him, but yeah, unfortunately, like I have some other plans. But yeah, the great thing about that is like it's really these types of conversation, but much more in person and much more also on like it really has to start off with personal. It's just like you start off with like, hey, how's everyone been doing since last time? What's been happening in your life? And then you talk about what you want to talk about. And that's a dimension that we also try to bring in here, but sometimes forget a little bit. Fortunately, like Lucas and I, like we know a little bit better how our lives are going to some extent, like we're in like even if we don't talk in person, like we're in the same family WhatsApp chats and lots of pictures get shared there. And I
Yeah,
know that was with my youngest brother recently in France, so he must have had a good time there. So even though I didn't ask you about that at the start of this conversation. I kind of know, like, so there's something
Yeah,
nice about that. Whereas I would have also known if something terrible has happened recently. Um, and that's the space that estuary allows. That I think the space also allows, but it doesn't capitalize on in the first place. But it capitalizes on it far more than like other what do you call it, like dialogues on YouTube that are
yeah,
happening. So it's still really fascinating. So I would say
yeah,
go to Paul van der Klei's video channel to
yeah, yeah.
that video. But sorry, do continue. Long interruption.
No, it's all good. Also, my thoughts are developing as I speak, so you're
Hmm.
helping me think. A lot of this little corner conversations are very intellectual, possibly because of the nature of the conversation and the, let's say, the format where we speak for an hour and a half. I think it's conducive to a
Hmm.
deeper conversation and often one that goes into
Hmm.
those deeper topics.
And I also think it's just like the majority of us are men, and I don't even mean that in the sense like I mean like it's obvious like from the literature it's obvious that on average men and women are equally intelligent. So I'm not even making a point about that. I'm just saying, men can get really geeky about stuff, like they
Yeah.
can fixate on certain subject matters and even like drift off to some extent. And like to those people that don't like gender essentialism, I'm not even making a point there. I'm just saying, even if it's like a social construct, that's the way that it often manifests itself in the world, like, so yeah, that's just my point.
Man, I love you. So so yeah, but it's true. And like you're never going to get a male and female equality in this space because it's idea dominated in many ways.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's going to change. And at least it might change a bit, but it's not going to get to that level. And so I think you should have your own community in person. And if you don't have that, it's something to work toward. And this little corner can help you get there because
Hmm.
it can train you in that way and it can teach you how to apply this implicit ethic that we often speak about,
Hmm.
of really truly listening and taking care into conversations. And so this is in many ways a good thing, but I think for a lot of people, it's too big of a thing or it's too important to them, if you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
I mean, for myself, I feel that I'm kind of sometimes using it as an excuse for not going to church. It's like, well, I'm speaking about Christ or I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it all the time and having these intellectual conversations. It's like,
hmm.
you're not participating correctly.
It's also
Um,
like, why, if you're thinking about God, why talk to God? It's like, you're already doing one dimension. So
yeah.
that's, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, so
interesting.
there's dangers and pitfalls to it, but I think for now, for a lot of people, it's so needed
Hmm.
that I will not describe it as a bad thing. Um, I'm constantly questioning it for myself. Even the podcast, I don't know, but right now it seems to be a good thing, not for me, but also for the people around me, and that can change. The same with this little corner, it can change very quickly, given the circumstances of the world and given how people approach it. So it's a living organism, and we need to care for it and treat it well, and we need to be wise with it. So that means a constant evaluation and questioning also.